Wrestling used to mean something, and I don't mean in that I liked it when I was a kid kind of way. I mean in the real way, where people bled for it, like actually bled. The ring was sacred. Every slam mattered. Every betrayal left a scar. And every crowd reaction, it came from the gut. It was messy, emotional, a little unhinged, and that's what made it beautiful. But the people who built that magic, they're not the ones running the show anymore. Now it's suits, boardrooms, people treating wrestling like it's a toothpaste brand or a theme park expansion. When WWE merged with UFC to form TKO Group Holdings, it wasn't because they loved wrestling or fighting or stories. It was business. Just another synergy-driven vertical integration project for Wall Street guys who think a 5-star match is something you get on Yelp. To them, wrestling isn't a story. It's IP, something to sell. Then came that moment, the moment you couldn't ignore. The prime bottle, right there, in the middle of the ring. Not backstage, not during a segment, on the canvas. The same canvas people used to bleed on, where finishers landed, where legends were made. Now, it was product placement, dead center, ready for its close-up, and we laughed. We posted memes. We said, it's not that deep. But deep down, we felt it. That was the moment it changed. That was when the ritual got sponsored. And from there, it just kept snowballing. Entrances, stories, even the props, all rented out. Not to make it better, but because someone up top found a new way to monetize the mat. The ring used to be sacred. Now, it's ad space. And once the ring's for sale, everything else is too. In early 2025, Dwayne Johnson was plucked from Hollywood because ticket sales were soft. One call from TKO's boardroom, and suddenly, the most electrifying man in sports entertainment was back. He was dropped in like a marketing campaign. Not to build the story, but to stall it. And the crowd still cheered, because nostalgia is louder than memory. His return wasn't about closure or passing a torch. It was pure strategy, legacy, repackaged as content. He prompted John Cena's heel turn. He reshaped the chessboard. Then, he vanished before the final move, because his job wasn't to finish the story. The job was to sell it. John Cena did the unthinkable at Elimination Chamber 2025. After years of playing the hero, he turned. Not quietly, not slowly, but in a flash of betrayal. Cody Rhodes had just told The Rock to go to hell, refusing to give in to his manipulation. And before the crowd could even process the defiance, Cena struck. A low blow. A title belt to the skull. Blood on the mat. The heel-turn fans had waited decades for was now real, now cruel. Cena had sold his soul to align with The Rock, and standing beside them, a grinning Travis Scott. It was bold. It was surreal. It worked. For a moment, fans buzzed with anticipation. Cena, the fallen icon, had become The Rock's weapon. This was a reckoning. Cody, the defiant champion. Cena, the corrupted legend. WrestleMania 41 had its endgame, a blockbuster built on raw emotion and shocking betrayal. But then, silence. In the 6 weeks that followed, The Rock disappeared. Travis Scott vanished too. No promos, no building, just echoes of something bigger that never arrived. The story that had stunned the world was suddenly stalled, and Cena, the most hated man in wrestling, was left alone to carry its weight and absorb the booze. WrestleMania 41 should have been electric, but something was off. The main event arrived, Cody Rhodes versus John Cena for the Undisputed Championship. The match was solid, the crowd was ready, but The Rock wasn't there. No final confrontation, no looming presence, just absence. And then came the stunt that broke the spell. Mid-match, the lights shifted. Travis Scott walked down the ramp to his own music, dressed in streetwear, holding a custom hardcore championship belt. A product of his behind-the-scenes brand deal with WWE. The audience murmured. Some cheered, hoping this meant The Rock was on his way, but he never came. Instead, Travis yanked the referee from the ring. Cody laid him out with a crossroads, and just as quickly, Cena capitalized. A low blow, a belt shot, a cover, a count. 1, 2, 3. John Cena stood tall, but the pop was muted. The celebration was awkward. Cena raised the belt while Travis Scott stood beside him, grinning. A walking advertisement. Pyro lit the sky, but the magic didn't. Because the match didn't feel like a story. It felt like an ad. Fans online were furious, not because Cena won, but because the finish felt hollow. A rapper with zero connection to the company had just decided the most historic match of the decade. The Rock, the one who started all the chaos, didn't even show up. And Cody Rhodes, after carrying WWE through its most emotional era in years, lost his title because of a clumsy celebrity spot that served no purpose to the narrative. On Twitter, on Reddit, Fans lit it up. They called it a disaster. Soulless. Corporate garbage. Even wrestling legends weighed in, ripping the pacing, the decision-making. Why did Travis Scott get a full entrance in the middle of a world title match? Why was the biggest heel turn in 2 decades wasted on a clunky celebrity interference? Why tease The Rock's Godfather role if he was never going to show up at the end? The truth, it cut deep. Cena's heel turn should have led to a climax, a war, a reckoning. Instead, it became a marketing detour, and Cena took the fall. The weight of the fans' frustration fell squarely on his shoulders. The boos weren't just for the betrayal, they were for what the story became. And Travis, he was never meant to carry this. He was a branding deal, a viral cameo. But when WWE used him as the climax, it showed just how badly they'd misread the audience. Fans didn't want a crossover moment. They wanted closure. They wanted the face of the company to win a war. They wanted their story. Instead, they got the wrong face raising the wrong hand. The Rock vanished, Travis got booed, and Cena stood in the spotlight alone. All that promise, that electric spark from Elimination Chamber, died under the stadium lights. Because when it was time to deliver, WWE gave them noise instead of meaning. And the one who had to stand in that silence was the heel who took the fall. At WrestleMania 39, WWE raked in $20 million in sponsorships. That wasn't an accident. It was the new blueprint. The spectacle would be monetized, not mythologized. Every return, every entrance, every false finish, calibrated not for drama, but for media impressions. What once felt like destiny now felt like a brand activation. WrestleMania used to give us closure, payoffs earned through months of pain and promise. Now it gives us hashtags and quarterly earnings. That shift, it rewired the whole system. It changed how the machine worked, how talent was built, how careers were judged. What started with branding on the mat quietly became the blueprint for everything else. It crept in slowly. At first, it was the music. A few theme songs got swapped, then a few more. And suddenly, nobody had music that hit. No building, no punch, just noise. Most of it sounded like royalty-free workout tracks. Bland, looping, lifeless.
I hate your music!
Even the wrestlers started joking about it backstage, asking if they could get their old themes back, or if anyone even knew who was making the new ones. Nobody did. SmackDown got a new theme too. Big rollout, fancy graphics. And the fans? They didn't bite. It didn't feel epic. It didn't feel like anything. Just another track designed to sound cool in a trailer and forgettable in an arena. Because now, it's about impressions, sync deals, streaming plays. WWE picks the songs based on click-throughs and brand partnerships, not how they make you feel when the lights go down. That's why Travis Scott showed up at WrestleMania with a belt. Not to wrestle, not to cut a promo, just to walk out, get his shot, and sell the moment. Bad Bunny got a match. Logan Paul got a push. Influencers started popping up in backstage segments like they were part of the roster. And for the people who are the roster, that stung, even if they won't say it out loud. It's not that Logan Paul isn't good. He is. He shows up. He trains. He delivers. But he skipped the line. And no matter how clean his frog splash looks, that's always gonna feel off to the people still waiting for their first real storyline. Because this new era, it's not about potential. It's about who already has an audience. And the ones who've been grinding in silence for years, they know exactly where they stand. They see the direction. They feel the shift. They're told, hold tight, be patient, wait for a moment that might never come. Some stopped asking about their arcs. Others, they don't even care what music they walk out to anymore. Because they know it'll probably change next month anyway. Some new licensing deal, some viral artist, some brand sync that looked good in a pitch deck. The guys who came up in the system, the ones who worked those empty house shows, who practiced the same spots for months, who dreamt of having one entrance at WrestleMania. They're standing there watching TikTokers get the ramp. No heat, no story, no dues, just a spotlight and a brand code. No one's bitter out loud, but you can feel it. In the way people talk, the way they stretch, the way they stop looking up when new music hits, because they already know it's not for them. That's the part nobody clips for Twitter. No meme, no viral video, just quiet resentment. Wrestling still has magic, but a lot of the people who built it, they're not so sure if they're even part of it anymore. Hey guys, I just checked. 94% of you watching still aren't subscribed. If you're enjoying these WWE deep dive essays, hit that subscribe button. It helps more than you think and lets me keep making the content you love. House shows used to be the training ground, a proving space for young talent, a chance to refine their craft in front of a live crowd. They were a gift to smaller towns that rarely got the televised magic. But under TKO, that system was gutted. Dozens of events were slashed from the calendar because the model didn't prioritize development. It prioritized profit margins, smaller tour, lower costs, bigger returns, and the remaining shows, They're no longer for the many, they're priced for the few. Randy Orton, a company man for over 2 decades, called the ticket prices embarrassing.
It doesn't surprise me though.
Yeah, they were expensive.
What kind of seats did you have?
Lower bowl, C135 for both nights.
How far back from the front row?
Not on the floor.
Not on the floor at all.
Our seats were like what, 30,000?
Yeah.
Randy.
This is our first Mania. I'm like, you know what? Go big or go home.
Embarrassing.
I know.
So much fucking money for a seat.
And then SmackDown and Raw.
He wasn't wrong. A single upper deck seat for WrestleMania 41 in Las Vegas climbed above $1,000 on Ticketmaster. Fans who'd saved for years were simply priced out, left to watch from a distance. Vegas didn't host WrestleMania because of legacy or symbolism. They paid for it. The city offered WWE a $5 million fee to secure the event. That's the playbook now. Cities bid for WrestleMania like it's a political convention. Whoever pays more gets the show. And if one city won't, another will. Saudi Arabia did. The spectacle once saved for WrestleMania. The dream match, the rare return, now unfolds in Riyadh. Not because the story demanded it, but because the check cleared. $50 million per event. For that price, WWE will send legends overseas, reshuffle timelines, and serve main event magic on a different stage. Tradition? It's flexible when the purse is heavy enough. And what about the talent? Some of them never stood a chance. If you're not a draw, you're not safe. If you don't spike numbers, if your look doesn't align with a new campaign, you vanish. It's not about loyalty, not about potential, not even about crowd connection. It's about conversion signals on a dashboard. The locker room felt it first. One wave of cuts, then another, and another. Names we grew up watching, erased with a press release. Mustafa Ali, released just weeks before a hometown show he'd long dreamed of headlining. Years of loyalty, years of quiet excellence, gone. And it wasn't just him. Some wrestlers were cut for being too expensive. Others for not having the right social media profile. Even those who stayed, like Seth Rollins, felt the shift. He said it himself, without house shows, the next generation won't be ready. Fewer reps, fewer chances, fewer stars in the making. But the decision makers, they weren't listening, because their dashboards told a different story. The story of margins, of scale, of data-driven return. What that leaves behind is a hollowed-out art form. A generation that won't get to stumble in front of 300 people in Arkansas and find their voice. That won't learn the rhythm of a match the hard way, because that takes time. That's a long-term investment. And TKO, they don't do long-term storytelling. They do quarterly performance. And that sterility, it didn't stay backstage. It seeped into the space that mattered most. The one place that once felt untouchable, the arena. The arena used to feel alive. It was in the sweat, the silence before a finisher, the roar that followed. It was gritty, uneven, real. The magic was in the unscripted violence, the heartache, the moments that couldn't be packaged. Now, the arena hums with a different energy, the glow of commerce. LED barricades pulse with sponsor logos. Camera angles frame ads with the same precision they once gave to championship belts. The ring no longer feels like a battlefield. It feels like the center court of a shopping mall. Once, a steel chair was vengeance. A table was punctuation. Now, those same props are painted with logos. Slim gym-branded tables, Mountain Dew-colored ladders. What used to draw blood now draws endorsements. WWE called it a first-of-its-kind integration. What they really meant was, everything is for sale. There was a time when wrestling moved people, when a story could make your chest ache, when a win meant redemption, and a loss left you breathless. Now, the only thing being moved is inventory. The chants still echo, but now they bounce off digital banners and dissolve into QR codes. The pain still exists, but it's cropped and captioned for sponsor-friendly B-roll. TKO didn't just buy a wrestling company. They bought its ghost, the shaped shell of what it used to be. And the worst part? We didn't fight it. We applauded the celebrity cameos. We laughed at the branded matches. We posted the novelty ladders like they were charming Easter eggs, instead of warning signs. We called it evolution. We told ourselves it was harmless. We said wrestling was just modernizing. But deep down, we knew. We knew the ring didn't feel the same. We knew the magic was thinning. We knew every reaction came quicker and faded faster. Now the bell rings. The crowd is loud. The match is solid. But it doesn't leave a mark, not like it used to. Because somewhere between the sponsor cuts and the backstage rewrites, the meaning got hollowed out. The sacred became scripted. The spontaneous got sold. And all that's left is a ring glowing with LEDs, empty at the center. Not because no one's inside, but because there's nothing left to believe in until we demand it back. The feeling, the soul, the story, this is what wrestling will be. A beautiful stage, a hollow sound, a ghost in gear, still fighting, still falling, but no longer rising. So, is this the end of the wrestling we love? Or just the next chapter? Drop a comment. Let me know what the TKO era feels like to you. If you felt this, subscribe. We're keeping the soul of wrestling alive, one story at a time.